All right, so we're going to talk briefly about reciprocals. When you talk about reciprocals and you hear the word reciprocal, all it really means is you're flipping a fraction over, or it's really the inverse of a fraction. Inverse means opposite, so that's where they kind of get that idea. You use reciprocals when you're dividing fractions. So if I have the reciprocal of 1/3, that is 3/1. If I'm dividing fractions, we like to keep change flip. So let's say I have 3/4 divide by 2/3. In order to solve that, we're going to keep the first number as 3/4. We change the division to multiplication, and we're going to flip that second fraction. This is your reciprocal. All right. Today's notes really are just talking about ordered pairs, and we're talking about angles and different properties of angles. An ordered pair is basically a point, and ordered pairs always look like this. So they're always going to have parentheses. You're always going to have a comma in the middle, and it's always going to be two different numbers. Those different numbers represent your x-coordinate and your y-coordinate. Your x-coordinate is how much you run, and then the y-coordinate is how much you jump. When you're talking about points and labeling points and all of that stuff, your x is always across, and your y is always up and down. When we're looking at grids, that's where you put ordered pairs. So in this case, we've got a grid listed here. The middle of that grid, so wherever you see 0, 0, that is called the origin. So this point would be considered 0, 0 because we're moving left and right 0, and we're going up and down 0. If I were to put a point right here, in order to say what that point is, we're going to figure out how much I had to run and how much I had to go up or jump. So I'm running 3 and I'm jumping 2. So my ordered pair would be 3, 2. When you go to the left on a grid from 0, those are all your negative numbers. Same thing goes for if I fall down. So if I were to say what the point -3, -2 was, I'd go left 3 and I'd go down 2. So my point there would be -3, -2. The point 0, 0 is called the origin. So we've kind of already touched on that, which is the middle of the grid. Your first number is how far left and right you go. Second number is how far up and down you go. So let's kind of do a couple more examples here. If I were to put a point here, that point I'm moving over 3, but I'm jumping 0. A lot of people, when they see a point like 3, 4, they like to say, oh, well, I went over 3, and now I'm going up 4, so I have a point here as well. 3, 4, we're going over 3, and we're going up 4, so that would be my point 3, 4. The point where I have a 4 here, I'm moving left and right 0, but I'm going up 4. So that would be considered that point. The other thing we're going to kind of touch on is angles and different properties of angles. So two angles are complementary. That's going to be an important word we want to kind of focus in on. They're complementary if the sum of the angles is 90 degrees. Sum is basically talking about addition. So when I add two angles together, if they equal exactly 90 degrees, they're going to be complementary angles to one another. Two angles are supplementary if the sum, so again we're adding angles together, is 180 degrees. If you're asked to determine whether the following angles are complementary, supplementary, or neither, all we have to do is add those angles together. So we're going to take 56 plus 33. 6 plus 3 is 9. 5 plus 3 is 8. Since 89 is not 90 degrees, we're going to say these are neither. It's close to 90, but it's not exactly 90 degrees. Same concept, so if I have 47 plus 43. 7 plus 3 is 10, and then we've got 90. Because our two angles added to be exactly 90 degrees, we're going to say those are complementary angles. When I get to 97 and 83, and I add those together, I get 180, so those are supplementary angles. All angles that form a line are supplementary, meaning they equal 90 or 180 degrees. Straight lines equal 180 degrees. Right angles equal 90 degrees. And a right angle will look something like this, and usually they give you a box in the corner to tell you that it is a 90-degree angle. So now we're going to find the value of x. If you notice here, we've got a big straight line right across the bottom here, which tells me that this angle and this one and this one and this one should all equal 180 degrees. I know a good chunk of everything. So I know that I have 23 degrees. And I also know that this box over here tells me I also have 90 degrees. I'm looking for that x value right there. So we want to figure out how much total I have so far. So we're going to add those together, and I get 113 degrees. When you're trying to figure out what else you need, so how much more we need to get in order to equal 180 degrees, we're going to take 180 minus 113. When I do that, I should get 67 degrees. So my missing angle, x, is 67 degrees.